Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Ni hao, dobroje utro. Dear ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, let me start first with the technical information. We do have simultaneous interpretation for Chinese, English, and Russian on channels 1, 2, and 3. Please use your headphones if you think it's needed. Good morning again. My name is Zoltán Somogyi, Executive Director of the World Tourism Organization, and it is my great honor to be here today to moderate the ministerial meeting co-hosted by China National Tourism Administration and UNWTO. First, I would like to extend the warmest welcome and sincere thanks to the tourism ministers, vice ministers, delegates, and guests, as well as to the Tourism Bureau directors from different provinces, autonomous regions, and municipalities of China for the attendance. I also welcome the private entrepreneurs and the representatives of universities and academic institutions, and of course, all the participants of the 7th UNWTO International Meeting on Silk Road Tourism, who are joining to us to this ministerial meeting. And at least, but I would like to express my special thanks to the CNTA for this excellent initiative and for the organization of this meeting. Please allow me to introduce the meeting's agenda, what you have with yourself, disseminated by the World Tourism Organization and the China National Tourism Administration in advance. After the opening remarks of His Excellency Mr. Li Qintao, Chairman of CNTA, and Mr. Taleb Rifai, Secretary General of UNWTO, we will start the discussion, which is dedicated to the theme to build an integrated tourism market along the Silk Road, with 3 main topics, all based on the Xi'an initiative prepared by CNTA, which was also sent to you for consideration and comments in advance. As you see from the agenda, some honorable ministers have been requested to start the discussion as lead speakers to all topics, and after the speech, the floor will be open for the other participants for interventions. After discussing the 3 topics, the honorable participants are kindly requested to discuss and adopt the Xi'an initiative. The meeting will be ended with the closing remarks of Chairman Li Qintao. If you agree, I propose to adopt the agenda. Thank you very much. The agenda is adopted. And according to the agenda, now I invite His Excellency Mr. Li Qintao, Chairman of China National Tourism Administration, to give his opening remarks. Chairman, you've got the floor.
尊敬的瑞法营秘书长，尊敬的各位部长，来自各个国家的代表，女士们、先生们，上午好。中国国家旅游局积极倡议召开本次丝绸之路旅游部长会议，得到了联合国世界旅游组织和瑞法营秘书长的积极支持，也得到陕西省各方的大力的配合。首先，我谨代表中国国家旅游局和中国旅游业界，对联合国世界旅游组织和瑞法营秘书长表示衷心的感谢，对远道而来的各位部长、各个国家的代表团的团长和所有的代表表示诚挚的欢迎。中国国家主席习近平在“一带一路”战略规划中提出要发展丝绸之路特色旅游，让旅游合作和互联互通建设相互促进。今天的丝绸之路不仅是一条古老的沙漠之路，也是全球游客向往的一条黄金旅游线路。这里人口众多，文化灿烂， 自然风光秀美，名胜古迹众多，有近500个世界文化和自然遗产分布在丝路沿线国家，占世界总量的1半。丝绸之路旅游潜力巨大，前景广阔。但我们也看到，受交通条件、签证政策、市场推广、安全环境等因素的制约，丝路旅游市场不统一，旅行不便利，流向不平衡等问题比较突出。区域旅游市场的潜力尚没得到有效的发挥。以中国为例，中国赴丝绸之路沿线国家的旅游人数尚不到出境人数的1/5。本次会议主题为推动丝绸之路旅游市场一体化，将围绕扩大人员交流规模、提升旅游便利化水平、联合开展推广活动、提升旅游交流品质等几个议题进行交流和讨论。这一主题和相关议题切合当前丝路旅游发展的现状，符合沿线各国旅游发展的需要，相信为建立丝路旅游合作新平台打下良好的基础。沿路沿线各国发展的阶段不同，文化多元，旅游资源各异，旅游发展思路做法也不尽相同，旅游合作的诉求也必然有一定的差异。围绕会议的主题和讨论议题，需要我们秉持求同存异、取长补短、互利互惠的原则，找准利益切合点，照顾各方舒适度，通过旅游合作实现丝路沿线国家的旅游市场的共同繁荣。预祝本次丝绸之路旅游部长会议取得丰硕的成果。谢谢。
Thank you very much, Mr. Lee, for your very precious and valuable votes and your message to the meeting of today. And now I would like to invite Mr. Taleb Rifai, Secretary General of the World Tourism Organization, to share with us his opening remarks. Mr. Rifai, you've got the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Samuji. Thank you all for being with us this lovely morning here in Xi'an. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Again, I want to, on the behalf of all of us, extend a very warm thanks to you and through you to all of your staff that has been so gracious and so cooperative and so helpful to all of us. I thank you for this wonderful initiative and thank you for the excellent and professional hospitality. Ladies and gentlemen, China today is an example of development in tourism that we need to look at and examine very carefully. The initiative of the Silk Road Economic Belt is what gathers us here today to discuss. The concept of the Silk Road has been established a long time ago. It needs now to be looked at the ancient wisdom of that Silk Road and given a new perspective and a new life in modern day world. That is why the concept of the economic belt can do that, and we need to examine it in that light. In this regard, I'd like to kick off the discussions of substance that may proceed after these brief remarks and mention to you 3 important areas that we believe can be the center of our cooperation and discussion, to be concrete and to be quite specific about what we want. Currently, there is a significant infrastructure gap. Infrastructure is not unified along the countries that are gathered around this table, and we need to live up to that challenge. Connectivity is still very limited to many of the countries that starts all the way from China, Japan, and Korea, and may end now in Italy and Spain and beyond. We need to encourage Silk Road's countries to create positive business environment for supporting air connectivity, which is still very poor in this belt. We need to improve cross-border railways, highways, and other infrastructure important facilities to ensure that what we're talking about becomes a reality. Infrastructure is the concrete translation of what we talk about. Without having proper, unified, decent, basic infrastructure, we cannot be talking about any viable connections. 2, we need to look at travel facilitation. We need to take visa facilitation and moving along the Silk Road quite seriously. We have to walk the talk, as we say. We cannot give people good talk without translating that into action on the ground. And the most basic and principal action is to make travel along the Silk Road countries easy, facilitated, and friendly. Issuing of visas on arrival, establishing electronic visas, implementing regional agreements or bilateral agreements is important in addition to make visa processing and moving along the Silk Road friendly and easy. Today, 73% of the people of the world need prior stamped, traditional, old-fashioned 19th century visa to be stamped on their passport before they can move from one country to another. 73%. The world average is 66%. Both are very alarming figures, but ours is one that we need to look at. And maybe we need to look very soon at establishing a common visa area where some of the basic agreements can be observed along the Silk Road. 3, and my most important point here, is regional cooperation. We're about to embark on probably one of the most important economic, political, and social blocs that the world may witness. The countries gathered around this table can represent a power that is of great effectiveness. Just look around you and see the diversity, the strength, the power, and the attractiveness of each and every one of us standing and sitting behind the flag of their country. Regional cohesion, solidarity, and building the foundation of peace is a major important step towards building this new model of cooperation economically and extend it to other social and political issues. As I said in my opening remarks, the old wisdom of us supporting each other and what's good for the neighbor is good for me is an old wisdom that needs to be revived today. We can compete with each other on quality. We can compete with each other on what we offer to our clients, to our customers, to our world around us. But we should never, never, ever be threatened by the goodness that happens to our neighbor or the traffic that comes to our neighbor. This is an old wisdom that needs to be revised and revisited. Let me, in conclusion, once again, ask you to keep these 3 points in mind and expand on them in as much as you want. And allow me, at the closing of these very brief opening remarks, to thank once again our good Chairman Lee, our good patron and our good guardian in the days yesterday, today, and for those of you that are staying tomorrow as well. We're very grateful, we're very thankful, and we're looking to China not just for hosting a meeting, but for continued leadership in this great initiative that we're embarking on. I thank you once again, and I encourage you to approach this meeting with as open mind as possible. There is tremendous opportunities that can come out of this. Let's not let it go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rifai, for your words and for the highlights between relations between the UNWTO program in Singapore in particular and this ministers' meetings topic. And I think so it will be a good start and good opportunity to go ahead with the meeting itself. But before that, I would like to continue the thoughts of Mr. Rifai, mentioning that how China did a lot for organizing this meeting, and I think so it is the best to give a big hand to China for organizing the meeting and for the preparation. Now we will proceed to the ministerial discussion itself, but before starting, let me share with you a technical information regarding to the process of the meeting. After the honorable lead speakers finish their interventions, the participants who would like to take the floor are kindly requested to indicate their intention pushing the button right below. And then I will see your indication and I will invite you to have the floor and to make your short interventions. The theme of this meeting today is to build an integrated tourism market along the Silk Road. And we are going to have 3 different topics to discuss in this framework. Topic number 1 is expanding the scale of interchange of visitors and raising the level of travel facilitation, focusing on 2 different but related issues as new opportunities on trade and tourism, and raising the level of travel facilitation, as was mentioned by Mr. Rifai before. Now I would like to invite our first speaker, His Excellency Mr. Arief Yahya, Minister for Tourism of Indonesia, to give his speech. Mr. Yahya, you've got the floor.
Thank you. Excellencies, Mr. Talib Rifai, Secretary General of UNWTO, Mr. Lee, Chairman of CNTA, Tourism Minister from member countries of UNWTO, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. Chào sang hao. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the government of the People's Republic of China for its support and cooperation with the UNWTO in organizing the 7th International Conference on Silk Road Tourism Program and the 1st Tourism Ministerial Meeting of countries along the Silk Road Economic Belt in this beautiful and heritage city of Xi'an, where the ancient Silk Road travel started. Indonesia has a special pride to this Silk Road tourism program, since this idea was first put on the table in Bali, Indonesia in 1993. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia recognizes the importance of revitalization and cultural and natural heritage tourism as a tool of deepening regional cooperation, such as this Silk Road tourism program. As the greatest road in the history of mankind, the ancient Silk Road formed this first bridge between the East and the West, offering visitors the opportunity to experience a unique network of destinations. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, to ensure our commitment to boost Silk Road tourism program, I would like to put forward 2 proposals as follows. The first, Indonesia suggests that the Silk Road tourism program initiated by the UNWTO should not only focus on land routes, but also sea routes or maritime Silk Route. In this regard, land routes are started from Xi'an to the western part of China, Russia, and other European countries, while sea routes can be started from Fuzhou to Southeast Asian countries, India, Africa, Middle East, and Europe. In developing maritime Silk Road, Indonesia has launched Admiral Cheng He Maritime Route Program, promoting 9 cities as a tourism destination, tracing the Admiral Cheng He when he visited Indonesia in his expeditionary voyages in 15th century. The second proposal, recognizing that the visa facilitation is a priority identified by the 5th UNWTO Silk Road meeting at ITB Berlin, Germany on the 4th of March 2015. In this occasion, I would like also to invite all members of the Silk Road tourism program to support the facilitation and simplification of visa regimes to ease tourism movement, which will bring a positive impact for global economy and prosperity. To implement this commitment, the government of Indonesia has issued a visa-free policy for 45 countries to visit Indonesia. In this regard, 6 from 45 countries are members of the Silk Road program, namely China, Japan, South Korea, Russia, Italy, and Spain. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes my intervention for today. Thank you. 谢谢.
Words and your proposals in particular, because I think so that the maritime Silk Road issue is a very important element of the future work as UNWTO Silk Road program, and as the visa facilitation is a key element of the program and maybe of the international tourism in the future. And now I would like to invite Her Excellency Mrs. Nikolina Angelkova, Minister of Tourism, Bulgaria, for her comments.
Thank you. Dear Chairman, Mr. Lee, dear Secretary General of UNWTO, Mr. Rifai, dear Ministers, Head of Delegations, allow me first to warmly thank to the Chairman, Mr. Lee, and Mr. Taleb Rifai and their administrations for the great organization of this meeting here in China. It's really very useful, and I would like to thank you very much for your great hospitality. Expanding the scale of the interchange of visitors is of a crucial importance for the removal of barriers to growth along the Silk Road. This can be achieved through development of theme trips covering subjects ranging from festivals and creative industries along the Silk Roads in close collaboration with other related international thematic routes, such as the Maritime Silk Road. A major challenge for the all Silk Road countries is to safeguard the cultural and natural sites under threat through continuous investments to ensure they are preserved for the future generations. This would require the implementation of capacity building programs in regional areas focused on destination management and heritage conservation, which will foster economic growth, diversity business, and reduce the visitor seasonality. Yet it is only by bringing communities together in this way that their similarities as well as their unique value can be appreciated and preserved. In this way, the legacy of the Silk Road lives on, and they remain a crossroad of dialogue, exchange, and sustainable development. An important step in the process is to build active link between people from different communities along these routes through the engagement of the Silk Road societies, promoting sustainable development via creative industries, education, and sustainable tourism. The expansion of the scale of the interchange of visitors is very much dependent on the development of public-private partnership with further engagements of the private sector and sponsors so as to drive the development of the Silk Road initiatives as well as joint marketing initiatives designed to showcase key Silk Road destinations and products to the global travel trade, consumers, and potential investors. Being a multi-destination product, travel facilitation remains one of the main concerns of the Silk Road tourism. Inefficient travel formalities keeps impeding the growth and development of travel and tourism along the Silk Road. Therefore, further relaxation of visa requirements will have beneficial effects on the economy of the countries that are part of the multi-destination tourist itineraries. Improved policy alignment and further liberalization should lead to establishment of a Silk Road multiple entry visa, which will trigger growth in both sectors and will enable tourists to travel conveniently through these countries. An essential prerequisite for the enhanced connectivity and transboundary travel along the Silk Road is the active collaboration between airports, airlines, and aviation ministries. Bulgaria has been working hard on the development of strategies to attract visitors from Chinese and other markets, and as a member of the European Travel Commission, the country was an active participant in the development of Destination Europe 2020 initiative, designed to involve the entire tourism industry in defining a long-term strategy for Europe as a tourism destination. Bulgaria is also a member of the China Operation Group within the European Travel Commission, where we work to improve the inbound numbers by a series of targeted campaigns. Our wholehearted belief is that this new dimension of cooperation between Bulgaria and the other countries along the Silk Road is an environment where all hardship and challenges can be turned into real opportunities for development. Thank you very much for your attention, and once again, warmly thanks for the great organization. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. It's really, we are very well aware of how Bulgaria is active in the Silk Road program as other thematic route programs in Europe. And it was very interesting to hear your proposal to the Silk Road multiple visa, which will be really an opportunity for all of us to have better regional and cross-border cooperation and better availability of the Silk Road countries. Originally, in the plan and the program, as you have seen, was proposed that Chairman Lee will have an intervention in all topics, but because of the other lack of time, he generously decided not to use his slot, but to offer it for other countries. Thank you very much, Mr. Lee, for that. And consequently, I know I would like to open the floor for interventions to topic number 1. Don't forget to show button down right side. It looks like the key speakers covered the topic number 1 rather well, and you do not have, you don't want to add at the moment something that maybe in the other part of the meeting you will have the chance to share with us your opinion. But if there are no comments, I propose to move to discuss the second topic, which is the conducting joint marketing and carrying out the program of Visit the Silk Road, focusing on joint marketing and building the brand of Silk Road tourism, with carrying out the program of Visit the Silk Road, promoting countries along the Silk Road as one tourism destination and attracting more tourists from outside the region. First, I would like to invite His Excellency Nayef Mehdi Al Fayez, Minister of Tourism and Antiquities of Jordan, having his speech. You've got the floor, Minister.
Good morning, everyone. Chairman Lee, Secretary General Rifai, distinguished ministers and distinguished delegation, thank you very much for having us here today. And it's always a great pleasure to be with you, and especially in this wonderful country, China. I would like to thank the Republic of China for their wonderful hosting of this event and for their continuous support and for the great initiative on the Silk Road program. I would like to start with the quotation of what we heard from Chairman Lee this morning. As he said, a single drop does not make a sea, and a single tree does not make a forest. And definitely, if we wanted to have this Silk Road a success, then we need to make sure that we work as one body, one unit, to be able to push for this very important program. I will be very practical and maybe go to some suggestions in terms of what needs to be done, maybe in terms of promoting and initiating a collective effort. I definitely would suggest strongly to start with branding the Silk Road initiative, to have a unified brand for all nations that are involved, to be used as a logo and a brand that we could use and launch along our marketing activities when we are marketing our tourism product. I think by creating this brand and this logo, we are creating also at the same time an initiative and awareness among other nations to the importance of the Silk Road program. This could also be followed by creating a jointly website using the Visit Silk Road logo and using it at the same time in our websites and brochures to initiate additional information and encourage the private sector to come and promote through this portal their programs in marketing more than 500 World Heritage locations that are located within the Silk Road program. Believing in that, this could also push for joint efforts and regional cooperation, where we could also work closely with our private sector in promoting the different sites within the region to be able to be visited at the same time. And I'm sure that if we work collectively, we can encourage our nationals to be able to travel to these programs and encourage more traffic between our countries. I think that through promotion, we are able to attract big traffic. But I believe, as we heard and we know all, that China could be one of the leading countries that could take that initiative. I remind my colleagues that from our understanding that China outbound tourism has been increasing at a very rapid pace, and we have seen more than 100 million travelers coming out from China, and the numbers are increasing continuously. At the same time, if we look at the efforts of all countries and we try to encourage travel within our countries to these locations, we can be able to promote our Silk Road initiative. I, for Jordan, would like to encourage that at the same time, where we can highlight, as we have heard in the previous meetings, one distinguished location within each country, and have this as a joint program where people can come and make, hopefully throughout a few years, a continuous program. So it could be a program that is initiated for a person or people that could start from one destination and continue throughout the countries throughout the years. These are my inputs for now, and I would like to say thank you very much for all my colleagues and distinguished fellows, and in particular for Chairman Lee for this wonderful hosting, and thank you, Secretary General, for all your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister, for your really very interesting and very useful proposals. As of the joint website and the joint Silk Road brand is really part of the UNWTO Silk Road Task Force, the UNWTO Silk Road Action Plan. It was discussed in the last task force meeting in Korea, and hopefully we could have some steps forward in the very near future. Regarding to your third very important proposal, it's really a crucial issue to encourage the interregional travel to each other, to the countries each other, which, by the way, are very in line with the proposal of the Minister of Bulgaria regarding to the Silk Road multiple visa, because it can help a lot. Thank you very much again. And now I would like to invite Her Excellency Mrs. Oyun Korol Dulan, Minister of Environment, Green Development and Tourism of Mongolia, for her comments. But as I am also from a very small language country, from Hungary, and is also part of the Greater Altai language family, let me allow to give the preference to the Honorable Minister to speak on the language from the Greater Altai family on Mongolian, and ask his colleague to to interpret her words for us. Thank you very much. You've got the floor.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Ни хао. Доброе утро, уважаемые друзья. Эрхэм хүндэт хурлын дарга хүндэт ноён Талиф Рафай, за эрхэм хүндэт цайд нар, эрхэм төлөөлөгчдөө. Шууд явах та.
Thank you. Dear Chairperson, dear Mr. Talib Rafai, distinguished ministers, dear Mr. Lee Jinzhao, dear colleagues.
Юуны өмнө торгоны замын аялал жуулчлалын хөгжлийн хандлагыг тодорхойлж буй энэхүү хуралдааныг зохион байгуулж байгаа Дэлхийн аялал жуулчлалын байгууллага Хятадын аялал жуулчлалын товчоо Шанси мужийн захиргаанд гүн талархаж байгаагаа илэрхийлье.
First of all, let us to express sincere gratitude and thankfulness to the UNWTO, China National Tourism Administration, and administration of Shanxi Province for organizing this important meeting for the hospitality of the Chinese peoples. Thank you.
Мөн энэхүү завшааныг ашиглан дэлхийн аялал жуулчлалын байгууллага торгоны замын хөтөлбөрийг хэрэгжүүлж байгаа болон хэрэгжүүлэх санал бодлоо хуваалцаж байгаа нийт илтгэгчид, оролцогчдод талархаж байгаагаа илэрхийлье.
Taking this opportunity, my deepest thanks also go to the all presenters and the all participants in the in actively sharing and contributing to enhancing UNWTO Silk Road Program.
Монгол Улсын засгийн газраас аялал жуулчлалын салбарыг эдийн засгийн тэргүүлэх чиглэл болгон тодорхойлж онцгой ач холбогдол өгөн ажиллаж байна.
Tourism is playing a vital role for future development of Mongolia, and it's prioritized one of highly prioritized economic sector for Mongolian government.
Монгол улс нь төгс соёл байгалийн нөөц баялгаараа аялал жуулчлалыг хөгжүүлэх маш өвөрмөц, онцгой нөөц бүхий улс орон. Бидний хувьд 2015 оны 3 дугаар сард ITB Берлин үзэсгэлэнт оролцож Монгол улсын маркетингийн сурчлагыг хийсэн явдал нь маш сайн туршлага болсон гэж үзэж байна. Энэхүү үзэсгэлэн төр хувийн эмчлийн түншлийн хүрээнд хэрэгжүүлж туршлагаа цаашд бид торгоны замаар аялах хөтөлбөрийг хамтарсан маркетинг болон хэрэгжүүлэх үйл ажиллагаанд ариун их туршлага болно гэж үзэж байна.
Mongolia has a unique historical, cultural, and environmental resources for the future tourism development and contribution to the Silk Road program. One of our good experience to contribute for tourism marketing was participation of Mongolia in the ETB Berlin in 2015. We would like to make this public-private partnership experience in ATB as a future platform for joint marketing and carrying out the program of Visit the Silk Road.
Энэ бид бүгдийн хувьд өчигдөр хуралдаанд оролцож үг хэлсэн хүндэт төлөөлчдийн хэлсэнчлэн бүгдээрээ нийл зайлшгүй хийх ёстой нэгэн зүйлийг хэрэгжүүлэх нь бас нэгэн боломжит хувилбар мөн гэдэгтээ санал нэг байна.
Joint participation and launching new tourism routes among the Silk Road in ETB and WTO TM will be in one of topic for common interest for all of us, and maybe one of topic for must to do for all countries. There are some of the issues of interest on joint marketing to be discussed during our meeting.
Манай талаас байгаль орчин ногоон хөгжил аялал жуулчлалын яамны дэргэд торгоны зам хөтөлбөрийг хөгжүүлэх тусгай нэгж байгуулан ажиллахаар шийдвэрлэж байна. Уг нэгжийн үйл ажиллагаа нь Монгол улсад аялал жуулчлалыг сурчлах, торгоны замын коридорыг бий болгох, түүний дагуу хөгжүүлэх, үүнийг бүгд найрамдах Хятад улс болон Төв Азийн бусад улс орнуудтай холбож хөгжүүлэх, хоёрдугаар торгоны зам дагуух аялал жуулчлалын талаарх бүс нутгийн ойлголтыг сурталчлахад онцгой үүрэгтэй гэж үзэж байна.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are establishing nowadays Silk Road Promotion Unit under our Ministry of Environment, Green Development and Tourism, Mongolia. One of tasks for this newly established unit will be first to develop Mongolian Silk Road Corridor, which will be connecting China and other Central Asian countries. And secondly, to boost the public awareness of Silk Road tourism.
Мөн бид үдээс хойш хуралдаанд илтгэгч та бидний сайн танил Team Coop-ийг Монгол улсын аялал жуулчлалын элч төлөөлөгчөөр ажиллахыг урьж байгааг дуулахад таатай байна.
Also, I would like to inform you that we are inviting Mr. Team Coop, who's presented for afternoon session as a tourism ambassador of Mongolia among Silk Road Program.
Анд нөтөө турганы замын дундын баялагт үндэслэн аль жуулчны ирээдүйн хөгжлийн нэгдсэн алсын хараа зорилгыг хамтран тодорхойлох шаардлагатай байна. Үүний тулд бид турганы замын аль жуулчлалыг онцгой хүч болж байгаа инх тайвнаар зэрэгцэн урших болон эдийн засгийн бүс мөн хүмүүсийн санаа бодлыг холбогч үр зэргийг ашиглах ёстой. Бид цаашдаа турганы замын брендийг бичлэхийн тулд хамтарсан маркетингийг хийх, стратегийн түншлийн талаар улуу модны илүү нэгт хамтран ажиллах шаардлагатай гэж үзэж байна.
Dear colleagues, Silk Road countries need a shared vision for future sustainable tourism development based on our common value. We must utilize unique powerfulness of Silk Road tourism, mainly its peace and economic belt, and tool for sharing common cultural heritages among the nations.
За сайд нарын хуралдааны үйл ажиллагаанд амжилт хүсье.
We must to work together to establish strategic partnership for joint marketing to support our Silk Road brand. I wish all the success to the ministerial meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Bose, for your excellent words and ideas regarding how to develop the Silk Road in the country of Mongolia. We really appreciate the Silk Road Promotional Unit in the ministry to be established, and again, to the Mongolian Silk Road Corridor. On both, you can count on the cooperation of the UNWTO Silk Road Program, as you are a member of the task force and a frequent participant of the task force. I think we can discuss later in the future in details. And of course, we all remember to the wonderful opening of the ITB Berlin 2015 and your excellent participation there. Just for knowing how important is the Silk Road, the agreement to have Mongolia as an honorary guest in the ITB was signed within the framework of the Silk Road Ministerial Forum in Berlin in 2014. And now, as I would like to invite you for all to have your interventions regarding to the topic. Thank you. Armenia has the floor.
Your Excellency, Mr. Chairman, Your Excellency, Secretary General, Your Excellencies, dear ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to greet all of you here in this great country, in this beautiful city of Xi'an, in the roots of Silk Road. Of course, I think everybody will agree that for success of any initiative, shared vision and active, productive cooperation between all stakeholders is needed. And here we have to, of course, cooperate together, to work together, and provide cooperation on all levels, on all public and private levels. And here, involvement of private sector and our populations is very important. For this purpose, I think we have to activate also to use such kind of tools as organization of farm trips for all levels, for public sector representatives, for private sector representatives, tour operators, and also media representatives between our countries. This could be very productive to make aware of each other. And as an example, I would like to mention that just recently, a few months ago, President of Armenia visited China, and two presidents agreed to activate cooperation, and also in tourism field, included Silk Road. After we have two documents, intergovernmental agreement, and then between the Ministry of Economy and CNTA. on facilitation of organized tourism between our countries. And now we are going to do the same, to start to activate cooperation between the private sectors, and also to organize this kind of farm trips for tour operators, for public sector representatives, for press people. I think this example could be very helpful and contribute to this great Silk Road initiative. Thank you very much for your attention. 谢谢.
Thank you very much, Mekak. Now I give the floor to the STEP Foundation.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Chairman Lee for not issuing travel advisories against Korea. And last night you told me, and this morning I conveyed that to my friends in Korea, and they said, well, Chinese is a very wise man, so you did not. And I just have to say that, you know, perhaps international media talked so much about MERS situation, but it is under control. And look at me and my colleague from Korea. We are very healthy and we're okay. Thank you very much. My deep appreciation goes UNWTO for leading this Silk Road project. When it started, like Indonesia, 1993, we didn't know where this is going to go. But really, United Nations World Tourism Organization took it as a very affordable project that applicable to all these nations, was where we are now. Especially when United Nations declared MDG, Millennium Development Goals, in 2000. By 2015, see whether the world could cut the absolute poverty into half. We are quite successful. We are not there yet, but we are successful. But 2015, this year, it has been again known to the world that SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, by 2030. And I think UNWTO's position within United Nations, I think we can put the Silk Road project as a very viable project for economically viable project to all these countries. It's amazing, like Jordanian minister said, there's 500 UNESCO dedicated World Cultural Heritage exist this down the road. And I think visit Silk Road and doing together creating logo, I think it is a very, very doable. And with STEP Foundation, we have been very proud looking at tourism industry as a means of fighting poverty or getting better economically. So in that sense, we are willing to pledge a small amount of financial support for the creating a logo. And I think we need to create a logo, and we need to create a small group of countries and people who really can come up with a plan for a visit Silk Road. I've been heading Visit Korea here many years, 10 years ago, and I see China is doing it. I know Japan is doing it, Visit Japan here. So some visit here could be very effective, mobilizing awareness. So with my humble situation at the STEP Foundation, I'd like to see really Visit Silk Road project take off. I think with a small step, I think we can go to a giant step. And again, thank you, Chairman Lee, for your wise wisdom. And thank you, Dr. Rifai, for bringing all of us to here. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Doe. It looks like this is the place of big announcement of today, and we are very happy of that. And if maybe who doesn't know Madam Doe, Ambassador Doe, she is the special advisor of the UNWTO Secretary General and also member of the advisory board of the UN Secretary General and the head of the STEP Foundation, which is Sustainable Tourism Elimination Poverty, which is a very important tool what we are doing together against the poverty elimination, for the poverty elimination. And thank you very much for your proposal of visit here, Silk Road. That might be a very good opportunity, and hopefully in the next task force meeting of Silk Road we can talk about. And now I would like to invite Hungary for the intervention.
Thank you very much. Dear Chairman Lee, dear Secretary General Rifai, dear Executive Directors of the UNWTO, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. First, thank you very much for the CNTA, for the Chinese colleagues, for Shaanxi province and for the city of Xi'an for organizing this lovely event and for your hospitality. As you may know, there are 6 major topics between China and the 16 Central and Eastern European countries, and our country, Hungary, is responsible for tourism. 2015 is the year of tourism promotion between China and the CEE countries. Ladies and gentlemen, no doubt the Silk Road project is the largest tourism project of the world. And hereby let me remind you at one of the nicest and most impressive sentences from yesterday evening's program list, the Chang'an impression. At the 4th scene, at the curtain call, I found a very, very nice sentence. Let us build a new Silk Road between nations, people and souls with our sincere hope of peace and partnership. Peace, partnership and friendship are the 3 key words, key notions we need to build on our tourism. Hungary, which is at the other end of the Silk Road, enthusiastically participates in this initiative, and we will proudly promote the concept, visit the Silk Road among the other 15 European partner countries as well. This will be an important topic at the high-level meeting in Bled this September. We've got 2 suggestions to facilitate tourism along the Silk Road. Firstly, simplifying visa issues, and secondly, building an intercontinental high-speed train between the different countries. I think these 2 things will make it easier to improve tourism between the countries along the Silk Road. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rusinko. I think so it's really very important that Hungary is leading the community of the 16 Central Eastern European countries for cooperation in China, and they can make a lot for the cooperation not only with China but also with the other Silk Road countries, and hopefully you will do it. And once I hope I can make this joke with you, I think so, that Hungary can join to the Silk Road initiative itself in the UNWTO and can have a more stronger role in helping the future. Of course, it's excellent to be informed that in Bled, in the high-level meeting of the 16 countries and China, it will be Silk Road might be one of the topics, and absolutely agree with you on the visa issues. And as Mr. Rifai also emphasized, the infrastructure, including the high-speed train, is a very important element of a future cooperation. Slovakia, you've got the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, at first I would like to thank and highly appreciate the hospitality of People's Republic of China. Especially I would like to thank to Mr. Li Yingzhao, Chairman of China National Tourist Authority, and Mr. Taleb Rifai, Secretary General World Tourism Organization. The initiative, the Silk Road, is a big challenge, not only for UNWTO, but for the countries, because the regional cooperation is very important. a lot has to be done. For example, to sign memorandums or agreements. Secondly, Silk Road is very much depending on connectivity and it too has to be considered as one of a whole aspects of cooperation include trade, transportation, security, people to people, diplomacy, etc. To make the tourism along the Silk Road economic belt successful needs to take all these aspects to the consideration. As I said, this is a very big complex of challenges. That's why I would like to press the importance of the UNWTO in the whole process. UNWTO must be the leader in creating website, logo, to create brand, and last but not least, to create a system of quality. This is the only way we can make together this initiative successful. Slovakia is ready to actively participate to all this process. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Magatova. I think so. It's very important. Slovakia is aware of the process and it's ready to cooperate with us actively, and we count on your cooperation in the future. I would like to ask any other interventions, please. Italy and then Cambodia. Italy first.
Good morning. Ni hao. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, ministers. Let me extend our warmest gratitude to Mr. Li Jinsao, China National Tourism Administration President, and for the entire team and authorities that have allowed this beautiful experience and very interesting meeting to take place. We are honored to be part of it, and we sincerely hope that a lot of things will happen after this meeting. I would like to stress four very important points that also arose in this initial discussion. Number one, I would like to join the call of His Excellency Al Fayez, Minister of Jordan, for a unified branding and the development of a common framework that will establish and facilitate the possibility to take initiatives at national level, and will definitely make cooperation easier, and will also allow the creation of projects and products that will be easily communicated and therefore spread among our countries. The second element is to emphasize the need for a strong cooperation between the public and the private sector, something that we can all achieve at our own national level, but which is a fundamental element to obtain success in actually relaunching the Silk Road as the biggest, as was already mentioned, transnational route, the biggest touristic cooperation projects, and probably ambitious as it is, the way of achieving peace along not only the countries participating, but also to all the neighbors, quoting Mr. Rifai's wish for all of us to be happy for what the neighbor is doing. The third element is that we should all use the incredible power of reenacting the past through remembering how it was along the Silk Road to preserve the incredible heritage of our communities. Community development and the involvement of local communities in actually reenacting the local cultures is a fundamental key to success. Cultural diversity is what makes us what we are, and that what makes us create a very fruitful and effective dialogue among all of us. The fourth element, which arose very clearly yesterday at the magnificent and very touching reenacting of the great Tang Dynasty at the Wall of Xi'an, the Great Wall of Xi'an, is that this is really the moment where creative industries and tourism industries have to work efficiently together. In each of our countries, we hold another form of heritage, which is the audiovisual industry, the theater industries, what we call in general creative industries. Maybe there is a possibility that we can start, all of us at our national level, to sit down actively with all of them and use their capacity and their creativity to help us develop new routes, new products, and really create a better benefit for all of us. Telling a story and reaching the soul of people is the best way of communicating. Thank you very much.